This man, of course, did not really know that his habit was bad. He had been told that it was, and he thought he knew or believed it was, but in reality he thought it was good, that it was conducive to his happiness and well-being, and therefore he continued to practice it. When a man knows by experience that a thing is bad, and that every time he does it he injures body or mind, or both, when his knowledge of that thing is so complete that he is acquainted with its whole train of baneful effects, then he cannot only not do it any longer, he cannot even desire to do it, and even the pleasure that was formerly in that thing becomes painful. No man would put a venomous snake in his pocket because it is prettily colored. He knows that a deadly sting lurks in those beautiful markings. Nor, when a man knows the unavoidable pain and hurt which lie hidden in wrong thoughts and acts, does he continue to think and commit them. Even the immediate pleasure which formerly he greedily sought is gone from them, their surface attractiveness has vanished, he is no longer ignorant concerning their true nature, he sees them as they are. I knew a young man who was in business, and although a member of a church, and occupying the position of voluntary religious instructor, he told me that it was absolutely necessary to practice lying and deception in business, otherwise sure and certain ruin would follow. He said he knew lying was wrong, but while he remained in business he must continue to do it. Upon questioning him I found, of course, that he had never tried truth and honesty in his business, had not even thought of trying the better way, so firmly convinced was he that it was not possible for him to know whether or not it would be productive or ruin. Now, did this young man know that lying was wrong? There was a perceptual sense only in which he knew, but there was a deeper and more real sense in which he did not know. He had been taught to regard lying as wrong, and his conscience bore out that teaching, but he believed that it brought to him profit, prosperity and happiness, and that honesty would bring him loss, poverty, and misery. In a word, he regarded lying, deep in his heart, as the right thing to do, and honesty as the wrong practice. He had no knowledge whatever of the real nature of the act of lying, how it is, on the instant of its committal, loss of character, loss of self-respect, loss of power, usefulness, and influence, and loss of blessedness, and how it unerringly leads to loss of reputation and loss of material profit and prosperity. Only when such a man begins to consider happiness of others, prefers to embrace the loss which he fears rather than clutch at the gain which he desires, will he obtain that real knowledge which lofty moral conduct alone can reveal. And then, experiencing the greater blessedness, he will see how, all along, he has been deceiving and defrauding himself rather than others, has been living in darkest ignorance and self-delusion. These two common instances of wrongdoing will serve to illustrate and make plainer, to those of my readers who, while searching for truth, are as yet doubtful, uncertain, and confused, the deep truth that all sin, or evil, is a condition of ignorance and therefore to be dealt with in a loving and not a hateful spirit. And as with bad habits and lying, so with all sin, with lust, hatred, malice, envy, pride, vanity, self-indulgence and selfishness in all its forms, it is a state of spiritual darkness, the absence of the light of truth in the heart, the negation of knowledge. Thus when, by overcoming the wrong condition in one's own heart, the nature of evil is fully realized and mere belief gives place to living knowledge, evil can no longer be hatefully condemned and violently resisted, and the wrongdoer is thought of with tender compassion. And this brings us to another aspect of evil, namely, that of individual freedom, the right of every person to choose his own actions. Along with the seeing of evil in others is the desire to convert or coerce others into one's own ways of thinking and acting. Probably the commonest delusion in which men are involved is that of thinking that what they themselves believe and think and do is good, and all that is otherwise is evil, and therefore to be powerfully condemned and resisted. It is out of this delusion that all persecution springs. There are Christians who regard all atheists as men wholly evil, as given up to the service of an evil power, and there are atheists who firmly believe that all Christians are doing the greatest harm to the whole human race by their superstitious and false doctrines. The truth is that neither the Christian nor the atheist is evil, nor in the service of evil, but each is choosing his own way, and is pursuing that course which he is convinced is right. Let a man quietly contemplate the fact that numbers of followers of various religions the world over are, as they ever were, engaged in condemning each other as evil and wrong, and regarding themselves as good and right, and it will help him to realize how all evil is merely ignorance, spiritual darkness. And earnest meditation on that fact will be found to be one of the greatest aids in developing greater kindness, charity, insight and breadth of mind. The truly wise and good man sees good in all, evil in none. He has abandoned the folly of wanting others to think and act as he thinks and acts, for he sees men are variously constituted, are at different points in their spiritual evolution, and must, of necessity, think and act differently. Having put away hatred, condemnation, egotism, and prejudice, he has become enlightened, and sees that purity, love, compassion, Gentleness, patience, humility, and unselfishness are manifestations of light and knowledge. While impurity, hatred, cruelty, passion, darkness and ignorance, and that whether men are living in light or darkness they are one and all doing that which they think is necessary, are acting in accordance with their own measure of light or darkness. The wise man understands, and understanding, he ceases from all bitterness and accusation. Every man acts in accordance with his nature, with his own sense of right and wrong, and is surely gathering in the results of his own experience.